remember this guy? Now, when it came out, it was incredibly revolutionary. Everyone was raving about it. So I'm thinking, does this stand the test of time? After 10 years or so, is this still worthwhile? Has technology moved so much with modelers, pedals, tiny amps that this is really obsolete? Well, let's find out. What I'm hoping by the end of this video is that we'll come up with some sort of conclusion on whether this is still a worthwhile purchase or whether it's just an ancient dinosaur that should retire. So, the original idea behind the orange Micro Terror is that this little guy packs a massive punch. It's aimed at guitarists that are looking for a small, portable and light amp, but powerful enough to rehearse, play gigs, and play at home, whether it's recording or just jamming around the house. At the time it came out, it was probably one of the main contenders in that area. Now, in 2023, with the incredible developments in technology, very affordable technology as well, we have all sorts of pedal amps, we have all sorts of multi-effects that also do amps and cabinet simulations. So that kind of concept has truly changed in a way that I don't think we could ever think of before. So having an incredible variety of tone at our feet or even as a plugin in our computer. So what would something like this really add to the party? As you can see, it's incredibly small and lightweight. It has 20 watts of tube power. Let's just specify that. And it comes with a 12AX7 tube in there. I can't really tell what type of tube that is or brand, but who cares? The construction is really solid, very, very clean, very simple. The materials are actually very, very nice. I like the feet and very, very simple, very minimalist, great graphics at the front in traditional orange style. It's got a lot of attitude and in a funny way is incredibly sexy. The controls, very, very simple. It might actually be an off-putting thing for some people, but as you can see, you have a tiny on-off switch. You have a useful headphones input. You have an aux in as well. Then volume, tone, and gain. That's it. One channel, no messing about. Interesting thing, people always get confused on the tone, whether because I'm assuming they can't read the musical notes, but left is more bass, right is more treble. Anyways, so that's really about it. At the back, you only have a cabinet output and the power. So you'll notice there's no effects loop. There's one channel, so it's as simple and straightforward as you can get, really. Obviously, the two main things that they were aiming for when it was first released was the ability, so having the aux in to jam along with your favorite tracks, and also having the ability to put your headphones in so you can play silently and hear what the amp sounds like. At the same time, the second bit, plugging this into a big cabinet will make it sufficiently loud to keep up with most drummers. So you can definitely use this at band rehearsal, bring it along with you. So those were the real two selling points, I think, for this amp. Now, ever since I've plugged my guitar into this amp, and I've played with it quite a bit recently, the immediate thing that struck me was the character. It's full of character. So you get that orange typical character. In the recording studio, I hooked this up by going into Viz, then in the torpedo capture, from the torpedo capture into my audio interface, and then in my DAW loading up a third-party IR for the cabinets. And I've got to say, it sounded really, really big. Very full, very orange, very good tube sound. The tone, in a typical orange way, is very warm. A bit dark, some may say, but it is very warm. It brings out the character of the guitar that you're playing. The controls are very limited, but at the same time responsive. So you can get a lot of variety with these three knobs, and the way they interact with each other is also particularly interesting. So very happy with how this reacts. Very typical of an orange amp. If you're a fan of that sound, and I am, then this is absolutely spot on. Again, with such a simple amp, you may think it's not very versatile. Generally, orange amps, I think, erroneously are known not to be versatile. But if you're in the ballpark of anything blues, rock, punk, doom, anything like that, you want that fuzzy kind of distortion, not a crisp distortion, just a warm, fuzzy distortion. This is exactly what you should be playing. So overall, today being the 27th of January 2023, I'm still impressed with this amp. The sound is warm, powerful. It moves air when you plug it into a cabinet. It's very, very loud. When you get it into a recording scenario, it sounds unbelievable. Hook it up to a 2-notes Dyne IR cab and it sounds out of this world. Now, the real question that we asked at the beginning is this still relevant in 2023? Because its original aim was for gigs, for recording, for rehearsals, not to break your back and to be inexpensive. Now, today, that market is overflooded with digital products, from the high cost ones to the lower ones. They all sound good. They all have 300 different effects. They all have 300 different cabs. They all have the option to load third-party IRs, and the cost has gone down. So, does this actually compete with them? Well, I think the answer is, in my view, yes and no. I.e., is it relevant today? Probably not in the way that Orange initially thought it was. But if you compare the sound of this to the sound of any of those modelers, I would still be tempted to say the sound and the character that this has, and yes, maybe it's that little tube, I don't know what it is, but I have not stopped playing this. I think this has a lot more character than all of those modelers put together. There's something about this that those brands are still trying to get. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just fairy dust, unicorn, whatever, but there's something about this. And I think that, yes, it's lacking reverb. It's lacking an effects loop. It's complicated in the sense that you will have to hook up other stuff. You don't have a USB port. You don't have any of that stuff. But it's in its raw form. I think this, for certain people, is the best option out there. For under $100, this is an absolute no-brainer. If you want to have a real tube amp experience for under $100, I think this is probably as close as you're going to get, and not get kicked out of your apartment, house, or whatever. So ultimately, as someone who spends most of the time in a recording studio, for me, this is an essential piece of kit, because you don't want to have stacks and stacks of amps in a small recording studio. What you want to do is have the ability to get a sound that none of those modelers have, that no program on your computer has. And if you have a torpedo capture or another way to link this up to your recording interface, then you hook it up and you get an authentic orange sound in a package that is this small. So whether you go for the micro terror, tiny terror, whatever it is, I think that these are incredibly good, and I think it's worth a try. If you've never tried them, I think you'll be surprised. So maybe Orange, think about it, because these are underestimated and you should probably be pushing on these a little more. And I think it has carved out its space in maybe a little nostalgic way, but it is still very relevant for people and for players generally. So, guys at home, if you haven't tried it, go check it out. I'll put the link down below. And as usual, hello. As usual, thanks for watching and subscribe to all the business below. I'll see you next time.